His name is Andrew Dennis, aka Miss Pearly Grandson, with over 1 million views on social media. Andrew has captured the hearts of Jamaicans all over the world with his Miss Lou like storytelling. Andrew is a teacher, culturalist, teachers activist, MC, speaker, and most importantly, Miss Pearly Grandson. Miss Pearly Grandson, welcome to Outside with
That's
Pepita.
right. Thank you for having me.
How does it feel?
I feel like probably if I were in Jamaica, it would be a little bit more electrifying because then I'd be able to feed off the energy of my countrymen. But because I'm overseas, I'm getting feedback on WhatsApp and Instagram and TikTok and so on, but I don't really get to feel the energy
Mhm.
of the people on the ground. And because of that, it's basically a typical day for me.
Well, we're here for you, and we're here to bring back a little piece of home for you right now because we are your Jamaican people, and we love you.
I respect it. I respect
All
I respect
right.
it.
All right, so we want to hear about what the people had to say about what's happening in our country right now.
What the people feel based on based on the people's reality. I feel like them have one style. They say they had the monkey climb, the more exposed. Just
Hmm.
by virtue of the fact that you're educated at a particular level, then your reasoning ability goes along with that. And so when people tone of condescension, when we are listening, and when we are responding to them, but the reality of the situation is that regardless how educated or uneducated people are, at the end of the day, they can only express themselves based on what it is that they are feeling. And at this particular point in time, the feeling is not great at all.
That's all. The Prime Minister has said that the increase will push the MPs to do work. You get what you pay for. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure what theories or constructs the goodly Prime Minister has been using to substantiate the evidence that he's bringing forward in that argument. But the truth of the matter is that to the average layman, that sounds to me, no disrespect, Mr. Prime Minister, like utter garbage. Because if that is the standard that we're going to operate by, then it stands to reason that we can hold absolutely nobody at any standard if there's not a particular remuneration package that comes along with a certain capacity. And so, what do you say to the person who is doing the menial jobs and getting the menial salary? Can they present the argument that I am not doing anything because you're not paying me? No, that's not how we operate as a society. As a society, you look at the job description, you tender an application, you do an interview, you're recruited for the job, you
Right.
have discussions about remuneration, and you're held to a particular standard on a daily basis. If for any reason at any given point in time you figure that this is no longer a job that you want to do because the money is no longer worth it, then you do a little thing called resigning.
Yeah.
It's normally done in the form of a paper document or an email. You're sending something called a resignation. And by virtue of that fact, somebody else can then tender something that's called an application
Hmm.
for the capacity that has now become something that we call vacant. We're not at this point in Jamaica where we can use money as the impetus for one capacity, but then you have one whip over everybody else. It's a propagation of the plantation.
It's really hitting home for me. I'm speechless. I'm just like, wow, what do we do
It
now?
that cannot be your approach. I understand full well where they come from in terms of the numbers.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your judgment has to be one that makes sense. You have convened with people of a certain level and you've been able to reason this thing through and it makes sense to you. You now have one responsibility. Your prerogative is to cause it to make sense to everybody, people. You cannot make a decision, albeit from an informed standpoint, and then you are going to come to people with an air of arrogance like, how can you not see this? Like, are you blind? It is simple stuff. It is simple stuff. Housekeeping matters. We should not even be discussing that out here. No, sir, you should, because by virtue of the fact that you did not put yourself in office, but you
Hmm.
were elected, then for every single solitary decision that you're going to make, it is incumbent on you as the leader of the country to solicit the input of the country, to test the temperature, to find out how people feel. And even if it is a facade that we're operating under, which we do most of the time, have people walk away feeling as though they had a bit of say so in the decision that was made. You cannot make a decision given the economic landscape in Jamaica. It is unreasonable, it is unconscionable, it is ludicrous for you to make a decision
Hmm.
about remuneration of political jobs to the extent of 200 and odd percent And then you are going to come out to the people, not to seek to comfort anybody, but with an air of condescension and disdain and arrogance, almost like, I don't see what the problem is. The problem, my
Right.
good sir, is that for every single solitary cent that is used to run the country, the people down at bottom, the grassroots people, have made a significant contribution to
Yes.
this. They are invested, and you owe them at least an explanation, and you owe them, the whole idea of soliciting the input of the electorate. You owe the
Right.
people who vote for you, at least, some input.
Yeah, because this is not an authoritarian uh governance. It's
I
not
mean, that
supposed
is
to
up
be.
for debate now, Peter.
Yeah.
That's up for debate now because the absence of an opposition.
Because I
I
read our
mean, technically, what are
constitution.
we?
I read our constitution, and we have freedom of speech. We have the right to express. We have the right to question what's going on.
Of
I don't want to go
course.
off on that. What I really want to ask you is that he
Mhm.
also said that the salary increase will attract debts. He said that. Does that mean that the ones that we have now are no good? Is that what that means? Like,
It begs questions. Question about the capacity, the bureaucratic capacity of the people who are currently in office, and the challenge is that these are people that we do not expect to see soon. So if you did not attract people with certain scholastic abilities or certain bureaucratic capacities, then that you are now doing a financial overhaul, a financial restructuring, not a restructuring of your labor force. We're not advertising, we're not
mhm,
recruiting, we're not conducting interviews, right? We're not shortlisting, right? We're not
mhm,
employing anybody. We are people who are currently in the capacity, who by your own validation and rationale are borderline incompetent, will be inheriting
mhm.
a powerful wage package. And a lot of these people, if you were to check it and to go by the traditional standards of qualification, you could understand why they were of marginal bureaucratic capabilities in the first place.
Mhm.
Because a lot of these people, if we were to go by traditional qualification and credentials, some of them don't have it.
And that is a fact.
Some of
That
them
is
just
a
don't have it.
fact. Mhm.
So at the end of the day, it is not so much post, it is not so much the decision that was taken by itself, standalone. It is your rationale that you present in an effort to justify your decision,
Mhm.
and then put on top of that the heightening pandicare, arrogance and the air of
Oh
condescension
yes.
with which you come out to talk to the people who
Yes.
installed you in the first place.
It's really it hurts me, because I was researching last night, Miss Pearly Grandson. We are second to last people, and our politicians are the highest paid right now in the region, with the second to
Based
last
on this
GDP
proposal,
percentage based on this proposal right now that they're
based on this
presenting.
proposal,
Right,
highest paid in the region. And
right,
can we just
based on this
pause to
proposal. Yeah,
acknowledge the fact that they didn't convene meetings with, what we would consider to be stakeholders. They didn't solicit the input of the public.
right.
And it is not, let us also pause to record negotiation.
It's
This is
gonna
a
happen.
decision that was taken,
Okay.
and it is a decision that has already been taken and communicated with the public.
Mhm.
That's what's going on. So don't expect that you're gonna hear that, okay, we in discussions, and no, 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 no. The only way that is going to happen is if the people of Jamaica begin to push back in a
Yeah.
serious way.
Oh, wow. So you're a Jamaican educator, right? Living and working overseas. Do you believe that the increase in the salary for them right after teachers just finished negotiating a raise, will that cause a brain drain in the country? What do you think about that?
The salary in and of itself probably will not. And in my opinion, I've never done a research. I don't have the data to evidentially substantiate my stuff.
Right.
But based on my experience, just by observation and by having discussions with other teachers, remuneration is a small part, push factors that cause teachers to pack up them life and relocate. You know what a major part of the push factor is? School leadership.
Oh.
School leadership who themselves have received probably something to the tune of 200%
Mm-hmm.
increase as well. So people who used to get like probably 3 million is now probably getting 7, 8, 9. school leadership who happen to be a part of the same union as the teachers themselves.
Wow.
So when the teachers feel a certain kind of way and industrial action is sparked somewhere, this same school leadership under with this new attractive remuneration package
Yeah.
will now have a responsibility to show some kind of loyalty, because at the end of the day, you just move from 3 million to 8 million, and there's
Right.
absolutely nothing that can negate that fact.
But this
So
is school
your loyalty
leadership.
have to lie somewhere.
This is
But
the school leadership. Right.
listen, if you should hear some of the stories of things that teachers, since I have put myself out there as the unofficial advocate for teachers, to see some of the stories that come to my inbox, your heart shrinks.
Wow.
Disheartening the way people abuse power. No, it's not merely the money, my friend. It's
Yeah.
not merely the money.
On a lighter note, and he's going to give the remaining to the less fortunate. What are your views on that particular stance?
First of all, let us operationalize opposition for the purpose of this context. We will say the leader of the PNP. Right now, I'm confounded as to whether I really want to refer to the PNP as the opposition.
Okay.
And so we're going to say the leader of the PNP has made a decision to politics.
Well.
He had to do something. He doesn't have a problem with the exponential increase that parliamentarians will be receiving. Is that there are currently discrepancies relative to public sector workers and their remuneration. So he's willing to sacrifice 80% of his raise until those kinks are ironed out. What that means is that if it takes a month or 2 months for this to be resolved or reconciled, then 2 months after now, Mr. Golden, along with the rest of the party, is perfectly fine walking away with millions upon millions of dollars. And let us understand, Peter, that really and truly, there is not a situation where we are trying to say, oh, you do not deserve a raise.
No.
Like every self-respecting worker, you do deserve a raise. But given the economic landscape in Jamaica and what it is that we're trying to do, a 200% increase that lands you at $20-something million is nothing short of a slap in the face. Because 200% in isolation, it runs in tandem with the accumulated value. Okay?
Yeah.
Because if a man is working $100,000 and you increase that by 200%, he is working $300,000. But if a man is working $1 million and you increase that by 200%, he's working $3 million. Vast disparity.
I heard somebody on Twitter say that the benefits that they normally get, they don't get them anymore, and that was included in the raise, like, because because I tell you what the people have said, and I was saying to myself, wow,
and rightfully so, and even if they
not
open
bad.
this up to negotiation and bring it down to 100% increase or 80% increase, it still warrants them losing some of the quote unquote benefits that come with the position, because every little make a muckle sometimes bill that drive the expense of the country through the roof. You know what I mean?
Shots fired.
Yes.
Shots were fired. Remember that phone bill?
Anything that counts as expenditure cannot be disregarded, Peter. If you have a bucket, if you set a bucket under a dripping pipe, before the night is out, the bucket is full.
Yep.
Especially out of yard.
Especially out of yard where the thing's so hard and the sun's so hot. Mercy me. Yeah, so what I want to ask you now, Miss Pearly Grandson, I like to call you that. Will this have political implication when an election is called?
I can't say.
You can't say.
I know what the people are feeling. And the culture, we can't underestimate the power of the culture variant. You see this thing what we're doing at Jamaica, this the one so we call die hard. Move away from, I feel like parents need to educate their children to grow up so we need to create one anti-die-hard society where we operate by the premise to listen, you go in, you know, deliver, you come out.
I also
Even if I
mhm.
only two we have to work with, put in one, then I deliver. The damage you can do in 12 years, you cannot do in 4. You go in for 4 years, you not deliver, out. Next one, 4, not deliver, out. But die heartedness, I go kill with Peter. So I'm not sure. It may not affect anything.
Well, I think with people like you and me, if we educate the public somewhere with our platforms and stuff, I believe that the people will, once they come to that understanding, because the famous saying from the great book is that my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Of
So I
knowledge.
feel like if the Jamaican public are made aware, like I shared the Constitution on my Instagram the other day, especially the one about the fundamentals of our rights and freedoms. I
Hmm.
shared that on Instagram, and can I tell you, I only got like 11 likes. Like
Listen,
there, people don't read. Like people read
yeah.
your
What,
constitution. It's on the
it's
internet.
a
You
struggle.
can Google it. You can download it. You can have it in your phone. You need to read your constitution so you know your rights and you know where you stand in this country. Because I
But a
don't think a
part of
lot
the
of people
challenge,
do.
Peter, is a lack of confidence in the Constitution because
All
of
of
the
that
same
too.
Constitution and people are hide
Ah,
behind.
true.
They are standing behind the Constitution to give themselves a pay raise of over 200%.
Ah, boy, what we are gonna do? Not like for
We
real.
are
What are
we,
we
we,
gonna
we
do?
are we are getting up on every side. But Peter also want to make the point that unless the Jamaica Labour Party
Hmm.
has a turbine that is fueled by power,
Yeah.
them losing power does not affect them much because the leader of the PNP
Hmm.
is just working probably a measly 2 to 3 million below the leader of the JLP. So if me happen to be leader of the PNP right now, like what
Yeah.
reason would me have to want to win election anyway? Especially against the background of the
Oh,
justification presented by the Minister of Finance.
wow.
What reason would I want to win?
Thank you so
Because
much.
if I'm money at the rationale, if
Yeah.
I'm money at the impetus, if I'm money at drive the thing, see? If I'm
Hmm.
money at the turbine,
Yeah.
right? He's working only a mere 2 to 3 million behind the prime minister. So what reason does he have to want to take on all of this stress on himself? Him not a reason to be attracted to that capacity
You raised
because him
some.
already
You
get
raised
one
some pretty good
remuneration
points.
package that is competitive with that
Yes.
capacity.
Thank you, Andrew. You raised some pretty good points. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Pleasure to
Thank you
be
so
here.
much for joining us on the
Absolutely.
show. Are we gonna have you back sometime soon?
Just
Yes.
let me know.